Hi, it's Rob from Wish Sports. Rob with a little early evening, late evening, mid evening. It's a bit of an early evening for Saturday night in the East Coast, and you know, it's late afternoon on the West Coast. Just a quick note. I thought I would be putting out some content tonight about the Cavs and the Pistons. I will not be doing that. The game tipped at 3. I was unaware of the schedule. That's my fault. I should have known. But this is ridiculous. I mean, I thought, maybe there was something on tonight. There's not. This is just a move in sports. I don't like it. But yeah, that's just my opinion. I'm a night person. I get that, but it's a Saturday. On a Sunday, I understand. I don't like it on a Sunday because I don't have anything to watch at 11:30 at night. Especially Sunday night baseball. It's I hate that. But that's just me. And it's a small media note, but I didn't like Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. I loved watching Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN. I love watching baseball. I love watching, I don't know, but I love watching Sunday Night Baseball. But I just don't enjoy not having anything to watch in the late window. And this is true baseball as well. I looked into this. There's a lot of reasons for it, but most of it's to deal with the primetime game and then having a game in the day so you don't compete with other stuff. But yeah. Baseball's moving towards this. It's fine. I get it. And I get it during the week. If you want to play last games at 9 o'clock, 9:30 during the week, absolutely. I don't like it, but I understand it. But on a Saturday, come on. I'll be out, but I would like to, I'd like to be able to come home to something. I won't. And I'm not going to have a take on the Lakers and the Thunder. I'll try and do some rapidly tonight, give you some information about what happened. I was just going to be what happened last night, tomorrow in the morning, hopefully. By the afternoon, as we saw it today, but hopefully by 10 a.m. That's the plan. But yeah, I don't like this current media landscape and how it's moving, games and everything's getting pushed up. I understand it for the weekdays. I don't understand it for the weekends. And I don't think anyone does. If you go out on Saturday, you're not going to watch sports. If you're a sports bar, you'll be watching sports. If you're somewhere else, you're not going to be watching sports anyway. So it doesn't matter. But, I don't know. I'm an East Coaster. And I don't mind East Coast, I don't mind East Coast bias. No, I understand East Coast bias, and I know it drives people from the West Coast nuts. And I get it. On a Saturday, 5:30 tip, as the Lakers and Thunder are tonight, West Coast Pacific time. The West Coasters aren't going to mind that. But yeah, I mean, during the week, that would be hell, and it's not going to happen during the week. But I don't like this. But yeah, I will pass along some news notes from the sports world. Unfortunately, this is one that hits close to home. I was in I grew up in the baseball. I kind of got into in the 80s. I was not there for the 86 Mets. I was too young. I was basically a 90s child of baseball. My dad took me to games. My mom and dad took me to games in the 80s. I wasn't really, I was aware, but I wasn't, I was excited and it was fun. By the early 90s, I was a big stat head. I'm not, I like stats, but I don't remember every stat. Back then, you could ask me any line on a baseball card from anyone, and I would say, yeah, in 1987, this guy hit whatever. He had this many RBIs. It was pretty spot on. Can't do that anymore. Can't, but I love stats. Point being, basically grew up baseball in the 90s. That's when I got really involved and really started to love it. And I will admit, and sorry Rob Adams, but I got to point this out. Maybe this will ruffle some of the podcast guys that I know in this space as well. They've had Rob Adams on. But yeah, when the Yankees played the Braves, and I believe the 96 World Series would be 96. But yeah, I wore a Braves hat to school. As a Mets fan, I'm going to piss off Sindel and some other Mets fans now and all the people I'm friends with. But yeah, as a Mets fan, I'm going to be hated for saying this, but I like the Braves in the 90s. I still have a soft spot for the Braves. And I know I can't as a Mets fan. That's not right, but I do. Sad news in the baseball world. Bobby Cox has passed away. That affects everyone. Those 90s Braves teams only won that one World Series, but the Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, Avery, those that had a decent fifth line guy. Sid Bream, David Justice, later played for the Yankees. All that. Bobby Cox, he was just, he was fiery too, which is always fun to have a fiery manager. And Mazzoni was a fun coach, but it's sad news, unfortunately. But just a fun note. I remember Bobby Cox just going out there and just losing his mind. I think he's got the most ejections in baseball. I think it's not even close. I'm not sure if that's still true, but I think it is. But Bobby Cox has passed away today, unfortunately. Sad news, especially for Braves fans and anyone who loves baseball. The guy was a legend and a genius. He's been sick for a while, I think since maybe the past 3 or 4 years, maybe even longer. But yeah, he's obviously just beloved in Atlanta. When he went back there every time, just massive. You got to be. If you do that for a team, you have to be. Even if, regardless of what happened, well, some things, but he never had any kind of off-field issues. But yeah, just an amazing man, fantastic manager, fun guy, and I respect him a ton. Yeah, sad news. Bobby Cox has passed away. In lighter news, but still true and still affecting the sports world, Toronto won the draft lottery in hockey, the Maple Leafs. They've hired John Shaka. He's the ex-Coyotes head man. Controversial hiring. We'll see what happens there. He eliminated the star player. We'll see if Austin Matthews wants to stick around in Toronto. He's got 2 more years to live in his contract. But yeah, we'll see. This guy's older and wiser now. I think he was 26 or something like that. Somewhere around there, maybe 28 when he took over the Coyotes as the head, as the GM. But it's not a good tenure, and it's an odd hiring. I guess one of the things is, people have said just give it time, but it does look like a whiff. But we'll see what happens. They have won the lottery, as the report on Athletic. I don't recall the byline, but as the report on Athletic, it's kind of reminiscent of the time 2 years ago, last year, when the Mavs traded Luka Doncic for basically Anthony Davis and some other players, and they won the draft lottery. They got Cooper Flagg, so possibly John Shaka going to come into a good situation. I mean, it is a good situation. The Leafs they've made the playoffs. They've been not good recently, but they've been good. They've made the playoffs. Generally, during the stretch of most of this kind of late recent hockey spate, the Leafs have kind of been a favorite, which you can say it's just very disappointing to lose in the playoffs so often so early, but it's kind of like I get it, as they say, and Toronto fans are passionate, so let's hope that John Shaka can do his magic and really get that team kind of moving in the right direction for the sake of Toronto. Not a huge hockey fan. I try to stay on top of the things, but yeah, I understand Austin Matthews is going to be a big deal when he comes up for a contract, whether Shaker decides to sign him in this offseason or the next, or whatever happens or tries to. We'll see. But we'll see how John Shaka shakes out in Toronto. So yeah, there's no take tonight. I will try and give you some late night, probably around midnight. Yeah, probably closer to 1, getting it out. But yeah, something about the night on ice and the night in the playoffs, in basketball, maybe some baseball stuff as well. I don't know. I want to give you something. I know I gave you what happened last night. That was late, so I want to give you something tonight. I'm sorry about not getting a takeout. I wasn't aware the game was at 3. That's mea culpa again. Julius Randle in the game at 3, the same thing. No, I think the game being at 3 is ludicrous, but it happened. So yeah, we'll be back tonight with some takes, possibly some posts, and we'll be back tomorrow. We'll see if the Knicks can finish out the Sixers. We'll see what happens tonight with the Lakers and the Thunder, and we'll continue to watch that Spurs Timberwolves series. That's a good one. It's 2-1 Spurs, as we said, as we've kind of pointed out. But yeah, tonight the Lakers and the Thunder. We'll see if this is a laugher. We'll see what happens. I'll be watching starting now. This will be out a little bit afterwards. All right, guys, have a good night. Stay tuned to With Sports Rob. Enjoy the evening.